Reddit wants to know, how long will it take for anime to become woke? I'm just kind of worried that anime would become as woke and trashy as Western mainstream entertainment, and now it's gaining more and more traction in the West. My worries got worse, like just unlimited controversies on the Twitter, woke people in charge of anime streaming like Crunchyroll, and I'm worried that they would censor all anime characters or even try to change anime art to make it more ugly for Western sensibilities. I know that anime is purely from Japan and Japan won't let them do it, but is there a chance that anime can escape from this woke trend? Or will it meet the same fate as entertainment in the West? And now that there is competition from South Korea and China, what is the answer? I got anxiety because of it. Okay, so I actually tackled this several times on this channel, but every time I talk about it, it goes over people's heads. Like, they just fail to see the point. And there's two reasons for this. Like, number one, people think, okay, well, Japan is never going to censor. And number two is that even if Japan would censor because of Western sensibilities, I would just pirate the Japanese version and watch that instead. Okay, so let's tackle the issues. First of all, it is absolutely true that Japan has heroically resisted the calls for censorship, which are very many. The reason most people watch anime isn't necessarily because they love anime. If you think about it, 6 years ago, anime wasn't this popular as it is now. But as entertainment becomes more and more shit, and there is little to watch, people are watching anime because it's one of the only things that is actually entertaining. So because the artists from anime are allowed to have creative freedom, you get things like Attack on Titan, which would never, ever happen in the West. You get anime like Shield Hero and many others, Goblin Slayer, like everything that causes the progressives to freak the fuck out, that wouldn't exist in the West. So Uzaki-chan is another example. Like, a lot of popular shows wouldn't exist. And the reason people watch them is, again, like, everything in the West is bad, so the only thing that you can do when you want some entertainment, you can gravitate towards anime. And this is why a lot of people in the West would like to change anime, make it more inclusive, more progressive, so people don't have that choice. Their idea is like, if everything is shit, that you're going to start reading some Marvel, you're going to start reading some DC, right? So that is why the activists, like the people who don't care about anime, would want anime to be more inclusive and progressive. Now, with that out of the way, can they do it? And they have tried. They have tried numerous times. Even at the United Nations, this was brought up. I know it's absolutely ridiculous. Like, why would anime be brought at the United Nations? And it was about sexismus. It's like there's a lot of sexismus in anime. And Japan actually said that it's fictional. Okay, children? I know this is bizarre, but grown-ass adults can watch fiction. So they resisted heroically when it comes to censorship, for ideological purpose. But the question is, will they resist when it comes to censorship for financial reason? This is the most important thing, the financial aspect. Because if you look at the anime industry, it is suffering financially. This is why a lot of animes don't get a season 2. This is why a lot of anime creators are crying that they're starving, because they are. I mean, if you work in a place like Tokyo doing anime, and you're not the voice actor or someone important in the production line, you're going to get very, very low funding. And Tokyo is a very expensive city. It makes it very difficult. So this is why a lot of anime studios have closed down shop. Now, in order for anime to be profitable, they need to sell to the West. And the problem is that in the West, there is just one streaming service. I mean, there might be more, but like, I'm aware of only one. There used to be Crunchyroll, but like after the merge with Funimation, there's a major one. So think about it this way, right? Like, if you develop an app right now, you can make money off of your app if you put it on the Google or on the Apple Play Store. Like, that's it. You got like two choices. So when you make an app, you need to cater it to the terms of service of Google and Apple. Because if it breaks the TOS, then you can't make money off of it. Like, it can be the best app ever, but you're not going to make money. So it's the same that how I think anime might be like in the future. Like, if you're an anime producer in Japan, and you want to sell your anime to the Western market, well, you're going to have to meet the terms of service of Funimation. And Funimation actually talks about like having this committee in the future that's going to decide which anime is okay and which one isn't, like a censorship committee. Think about it the same way on how Hollywood sells movies into China. And I said this on my channel many times, and like people need to understand that this is a thing. When you look at American TV shows, every single one of them which came out in the last 5 years has a gay couple in it. Like all of them have representation for gay characters. But when you look at Hollywood blockbuster movies that came out, almost none of them. In fact, it's very difficult to name even one of them that has a gay couple. And this is because of China, right? It's because they need to censor to appease the Chinese sensibilities. So the progressive Hollywood, with all their ideology and all that bullshit, they self-censor in order to make money, in order to be financially successful and do business with China. And this is the danger that we're looking at anime. Like, even though they have their ideology, which is like against censorship and allowing anime to be what it is, if push comes to shove, if it's about the financial aspect, like making money, they might have to choose to either close doors to their anime studios or bite the bullet and do business with the West, but that would mean catering to the Western sensibility. So, is it possible? It is. And is it dangerous? It is. And people who say, oh, well, I'll just pirate. Like, pirate what? Like, everything that's going to be made is going to be made with the idea of selling. And in order to sell, they're going to have to censor. So it is a big issue. Yes, it does warrant discussion. And I don't know. Like, hopefully it doesn't happen. Because if it does happen, like if anime does start censoring for Western sensibilities, and by the way, like there are a couple of anime that did censor for the Chinese sensibilities, right? Like Dragon's Maid, for example, they nerfed the boobies on some characters and whatnot. But right now you still have like a Japanese version, which, yeah, you can pirate that. But what I'm trying to say is that if the West also would have like their own censorship committee, then what would happen is that anime would become progressive. And with anime becoming progressive, I guess like people will just move away from it. Because like the reason people watch anime is because everything else is bad. So if anime becomes bad too, like people will search for something else. I have no idea what that could be. But like it is so freaking obvious, like this whole progressive thing is for white liberals. Like there is a reason why China calls them Baizuo, which means like white liberal, because they say, oh, if we're more diverse and if we're more inclusive, like minorities will like comic books more, which is what Marvel and DC Comics are trying to. But if you look at the black community on Twitter and you look at the black community on Discord, overwhelmingly they love anime. Like, despite the fact that anime doesn't have quote-unquote diversity, like, you look at the fandom and you will see, like, so many black people who love anime. Why? Because they can relate to some of the characters or they like what they see on the screen. So, this is what probably angers progressives the most, is because, like, their ideology is exposed for being a lie. Like, all their bullshit with diversity and inclusion and whatnot, like, when you put it to the test, when you actually look at it, the numbers don't stick out, Mason. So that's why they're attacking anime as hard as they can, and this is why they're going to try their best to censor it. Like, they tried ideologically up until now. They tried shaming, they went on Twitter, they attacked artists and whatnot. Didn't work. So now they might try the financial approach. Let me know what you guys think, though, and I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.